All units, code red this channel. Air 4 and K9 12, can you be en route?
My Government Affairs Committee made a living practically off of the fights that came from Clark County between the city and the county. So it was unusual to see them be able to get together on this important issue.
It meant somebody giving up turf, somebody giving up identity. And so it was amazing that they were able in 1973 to do this and to accomplish something that's had a very good purpose.
We're going to take the best of both departments and move in that direction. And if you start off with that concept, looking over your shoulder, nobody's feelings can be hurt because they won't lose anything. But now, how did it function under command?
The elected official was much better suited than the appointed official to run an organization as large as we're talking about.
As a law enforcement group, we interrelated all the time, so we were not strangers to each other, and we didn't have any political turf to worry about.
We were already good. It was going to be good for the county because they were the poor relation in the law enforcement field.
As far as the sheriff's officer's opinion of it was that we were just finally bringing them in line and getting their appearance to where it should have been.
And it was tough for the city police department and the structure that the sheriff would be the head of the organization. But I think that's right. I think it's better that the head of that organization be responsive to the public as a whole than to a group of political people like a commission.
If you're a street officer, what difference does it make? A stick-up's a stick-up, a burglary's a burglary, larceny's a larceny.
It came right together, really and truly. We anticipated that taking a year for it to level itself off a little, you know, when we went to changing cars and uniforms, and they were used to this and used to that. The city guy was and the county guy was over here. But they got together, lots of them knew each other anyway. And it wasn't long and they was all working together. It was the best thing we've ever done, I think.
I'm standing here in front of the SB 340 complex. At least, that would have been the name 50 years ago. You see, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department was only a name on a piece of paper up in Carson City. The Senate Bill 340 created Metro by consolidating the Las Vegas Police Department and the Clark County Sheriff's Department. The bill was signed into law by Governor Michael Callahan on April 25, 1973.
And I had respect for both sides. So I just thought it'd be a good way for law enforcement to have it consolidated. And they'd had my full support.
Now both departments had until July 1st to work out the merger. Although it sounded easy enough, it was anything but.
The underlying feeling was, just leave us alone, because everybody's afraid of giving up something.
It was the idea of two cultures, different cultures getting together. We didn't think it was going to work.
Doubts and hesitation, yeah, sure. What in the world is this and how are we going to handle this?
We used to bitch a lot. I think the city PD bitched a lot. But when it came to really giving up your identity, I think it hurt.
When we hired on, we made specific decisions on which department we wanted to join for whatever reason. And we lost that in consolidation. That wasn't what we wanted.
It was very serious. It was a very serious time. It had to happen, but I'm just absolutely amazed that we made it through like we did.
I spent most of my adult life working here at Metro, but I was lucky enough to work alongside and learn from many of those who actually lived through the consolidation.
I'm Dennis Larson. I was a Las Vegas City police officer in July of 1973 at the merger. And as Greg mentioned earlier, it was anything but easy.
Not really name calling, just insinuating that that's a city problem, or those are the city guys, and they were doing the same back. It wasn't very fun. It really wasn't. It wasn't just friendly rivalry. It had gotten to a forced consolidation to us.
One time my partner and I were walking into Southern Nevada Memorial Hospital, and we were going there to grab something to eat on swing shift. And as we were walking in the cafeteria, there were two dressed in blue guys coming out. And my TO was very outgoing, very positive, very upbeat, and he said hello to these two city guys coming out, and they didn't say a word. They just acted as if we weren't there. Walked past, and they stopped just close enough where they knew we could hear them. And one turned to the other one and said, "I didn't see any big red S, did you?" Obviously referring to the S in the Superman's suit.
Up, up, and away! So Dennis and I are going to team up one more time, take a look back at the history of Metro, and maybe we'll throw in a few stories as well. From the beginning of the talks right up to the very end, some in the city weren't exactly enthused. The city police department was the larger of the two.
I'll tell you what, sitting in briefing and riding with partners and stuff like that, there was comments regarding I'm not working with a sheriff's deputy. You know, those guys, they're mechanical robots out there, and there were some of us who had friends on both departments and didn't really have an opinion one way or another.
Right up until the last minute, we weren't really sure the consolidation was going to go through. It could have stopped at any time. We're policing the same community. We're policing the same people. We're policing the same circumstances. So there wasn't a whole lot of change that way.
Well, here we are in the Main Street Station's parking lot located at First and Stewart. This was actually the location of the Las Vegas City Police Department prior to July 1st of '73. The address was 400 North 1st Street, and it was actually located, this entire area here that we're seeing behind us is where the police station was located, along with the courts and the K-9, Detective Bureau, records, and everything. After consolidation, it was all taken down and turned into a parking lot.
In 1967, the movie In Cold Blood, based on the Truman Capote best-selling book, filmed at the Las Vegas police station. It gave us a great look at a special time and place in history.
Here we are at 3rd and Bridger, downtown Las Vegas. Behind me is where the Clark County Sheriff's Department's main building was at prior to July 1st of 1973. It contained the Sheriff's Department, Clark County Detention Facility, as well as the Clark County District Attorney's Office.
Steve Custer was hired on the Sheriff's Department in June of 1973, and he still remembers the very unique interview process.
They have to go up and talk to the sheriff. I said, "The sheriff?" He goes, "Yeah, Sheriff Lamb." I go, "Well, okay." So up I go, knock on the door. He tells me to come in and looks me over. I don't sit down. He doesn't tell me to sit down. I stand there in front of his desk, and he goes, "You like that mustache?" I said, "Well, yeah." He goes, "We don't allow him. It's got to go." I said, "Okay." Then he goes, just out of the blue, he goes, "You steal?" I go, "Steal?" He goes, "Yeah, do you take other people's stuff?" I go, "No." He goes, "Okay, that's good enough for me."
Sounds good to me, too. In 1971, Hollywood came calling again in the 007 thriller Diamonds Are Forever. It gave us a good but satirical look at the two departments.
Larry? Larry? You get him, Larry?
Not unlike today, the sheer size of the unincorporated area of Clark County has always been a challenge for law enforcement.
Sometimes you feel like you were chasing yourself around in circles because you were running from the Strip clear out to Nellis Boulevard on a call, and then all the way back again, and it was it just seemed like it's such a large area that you really couldn't do it justice.
Well, here we are off of Missouri and Boulder Highway. We're standing in the parking lot of the Whitney Senior Center. But back prior to consolidation, this was actually a county fire station, and the Clark County Sheriff's Department had a substation located in the rear of it, where they held briefings and East Las Vegas Sheriff's Department Patrol worked out of. Here we are at the former Las Vegas Stadium. Some of you may know it as the Sam Boyd Silver Bowl, and it's where UNLV used to play. When it was built in 1971, on the far east side of it, there was office buildings, and that is where the Clark County Sheriff's Department moved from their substation located over on Missouri, where we were just at. The substation out here at the stadium was used prior to consolidation and after consolidation before the Southeast Area Command was built at Atlantic and St. Louis. So it's referred to a lot by older officers as East Vegas or working out of the stadium, but today it's UNLV's former football stadium.
Well, the day finally came, July 1st, 1973. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department was official, but by looking at things, you'd never know it.
Well, here we are at 4th and Stewart, downtown Las Vegas. Behind me is the home of Zappos, but originally built, it was the new City Hall building, which housed the brand new Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department July 1st of 1973.
So when they finally started getting together, mixing us, you know, they still had the blue uniforms for the city guys and our tans for the old sheriff's guys. So the first 2 days, you know, you would go out with your partner, which was usually somebody from the same department. So they realized what was happening. They came in one day and go, well, from now on, we're going to mix you up. Be one blue guy, one brown guy. And he goes, and you don't get a pick. Well, we're going to pick.
We went into that briefing room, and the county guys were wearing brown uniforms. They were still wearing helmets and what have you, and they sat in the first few rows of the briefing room. Then there was an area of nobody sitting, which would be classed as no man's land, and then in the back sat all the blue uniforms and the city police officers. This is how briefings started out and went for a while, and then along come the inspection.
The Sheriff's Department was much more spit and polish. If you would have seen the hat that the city of Las Vegas had, it looked like a 1940s bus driver. I mean, it looked like crap. But our summer uniforms were bad. I didn't get a uniform that was made for me. All of them were hand-me-downs until I'd been on 2 years.
There was little disagreements, a little name calling, you know, but I never really saw anybody knock down and fight. And then slowly over time, you know, that changed. And then little by little, they changed out the uniforms. And then pretty soon, we became as one.
We had to be able to reflect both the city and the county since it was a merged department. And so I laid out about 4 or 5 different designs. The center seal is the city seal, which I selected because basically it was more attractive than the county or the state seal. And they selected the present Metro badge, which I was very happy to see because it was my favorite of the designs that were submitted.
And even the most hardcore city officer agreed that Metro's new uniform should be the sheriff's uniform.
We knew that we were going to go into brown uniforms, which really galled us. Although we knew the uniforms looked better, we still felt like we were being swallowed up.
All of us on the city were instructed to go to the county tailor shop and have their seamstress, Bert, measure us up so all our uniforms were going to be tailored to us. We did that prior to consolidation, but because of the size of the agency and the amount of uniforms they needed, at consolidation we did not have the uniforms. Same thing fell with the cars. They had to come up with a common color on cars. The county drove black and whites, the city drove blue and whites. So in a determination of something that would work with everybody, they chose tan and whites.
Now the only good thing about this color is people never suspected it. They were always looking for the black and white or the blue and white. And you could roll right up on people or just pull over somewhere and they just didn't see you because they weren't used to it, even though it has these big gumballs on top.
We had people stopping us thinking it was a cab.
You had city guys driving an old county car. You had county guys driving a blue and white city police car. You had some guys that would end up with a tan and white with the Metro gold star on it, a deputy in his uniform, and we had a city police officer riding together in the same car.
So they went then back to the black and white, which made really more sense at that era for what a police car should look like.
The first Metro Hired Officer Academy graduated in December of 1973.
At least if you were city or county, you had a friend who was a former city or county. When us Metro kids walked in the door, they now had somebody that both groups could focus on as the new kids on the block. So it was pretty interesting.
As things began to level out, the officers actually started to see the benefits of the merger. The contrast was apparent.
Now back in those days, they had a radio. It took 40 seconds to heat up before you can talk. 40 seconds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're in the jackpot, no portables, no computers, one county, one mountie. And that's just kind of the way you were. Well, we eventually got portables. Wow. There was good and bad to that. Before, when you got out of the car, you were kind of on your own. That was the bad part. The good part was you were on your own, you know? They wouldn't be calling and bugging you and checking on you and figuring out what was going on. And that's just the way stuff worked, you know? And then we got portables, then we got radios, then we got computers. Like I was the first squad, we got computers.
So the team was taking shape, and Metro was growing fast. In 1978, the South Sub opened. It would eventually include the Evidence Vault and Training Academy.
Last Bears inspection, sir!
14.
Sir, 14, sir!
Serial number in your weapon.
Sir, Tom, Adam, John, 8997, sir!
Do you want me to drop this on the ground or do you want to take it back?
Arrest. Sir, arrest. The taking of a person into custody in a case in a manner authorized by law. Sir.
Scratch your definition.
Second, sir. Carbon, sir.
Scratch on your weapon.
To be a police officer and to function properly on the street, you have to be a very disciplined individual. One of the main things that we are trying to instill in people in the police academy is self-discipline. We want to know how you're going to react when somebody spits in your face. An undisciplined individual could take out a nightstick or take out a gun and do harm to the person, where a disciplined individual would deal with it on completely a different level. The first inspection is designed to show the class that they can no longer function as an individual taking care of number one only. And when one person screws up, it makes the whole class look bad. Just as when one police officer screws up on the street, it reflects on the guys that go to work day after day and do a good job.
And of course, that still holds true today. In part 2, we'll continue to take a look back at the rich history of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department as it celebrates its 50th birthday.